since yesterday to do this, but it's not been forthcoming. Yeah. Let me try and see if it will work. Okay. So since yesterday, I've been trying to do this and it's not been working. I'm just trying to do a video tutorial on the basics of Excel. Yeah, it's upon a request by a friend to assist, but I want other people to also benefit. So if you have Windows, if you're using Windows 10, I'm using Windows 10, then it's very easy. You just go to the type or type here to search, and then you're going to type Excel. By the time you finish typing Excel, Excel should be there. Then you can launch it. Either you double click it or you right click it, and then you just open it. Then, now when you open an Excel, you're going to have the sheet like this. Now, let me run you through what you see here. Everything you see here is what we call the top part, is what we call the ribbon. The ribbon is made of the tab bar, then we have the commands bar, and then we have the formula bar. Now, with the tabs, you can see that I have the file tab. Then I'm just going back. I have the home tab. I have insert, draw, page, formulas, and then all of them. Now, the home tab is where we actually going to use much of the what did it work. So let me show you. Now, after every tab, there are a lot of commands that come, and they are in groups. On the home tab, we have the clipboard, we have the font. So it means everything here, all the commands you see here are all about font, like either the font size, right? So here is all about alignment. You can merge your data there. You can align left, align right. You can even align leftmost or rightmost, center, whatsoever. Here is about numbers, whether you want to have decimals or not decimals. Here is about formatting. Formatting means like rearranging the data into the format that you want. So you can actually arrange from, let's say, highest. You can look at the top rows. You can look at the data bars, and there are so many ways. You can also customize. You can also do a format as a table. So you are just going to extract the data based on a specific criteria, and then that data will come in the form of a table. You have other styles through which you can do the formatting. Now, when you move from there, you have the cell group of commands under the home tab. And then you have the cells here. You can delete a cell, you can insert a cell, you can format a cell, and then you can also insert a whole column and a whole row. When we come here, we have the editing. The editing is like when you want to filter out, you want to take portion of the data out and whatsoever. You can rearrange the data, you can find some data and then replace them. Now, when we come down here, we have what we call the formula bar. Now, on the formula bar, this is where you actually write your formulas, your functions, your algorithms. Then at the back here, you can see that we can actually cancel whatever that we have written, and we can enter it, and we can insert a function. If I click on that, you see that several functions are going to pop up, and I can just click any of the functions that I want, and then I am good to go. If you know the function already, you can just type it here. At the back here is the cell address. Excel is run on cells. I have a cell here. When I click on any cell, we call it an active cell. Now, the layout or the structure of Excel is columns and then rows. So the columns are alphabetically named, the rows are numerical. So you have row 1, row 2, row 3, column A, column B, column C. So the intersection of the rows and columns give you a cell. When you click on it, it becomes an active cell. To know the address of every cell, just look at the back here. When you click on any cell, come to look at the cell address bar. Over here, you're going to see the cell there. You can actually rename it. So the cell in which I am now is G7. I can actually rename it. I can actually shift it. I can make it quite smaller than whatsoever. The same way apply to any of this. I can actually rearrange them. Now, when we have the data like this, we have things like this. We can actually enter whatever we want in these cells, But for Excel to know that we are dealing with this particular cell, it uses the cell address around here. If I want, I can actually name this cell. For instance, I can highlight the cell here, like we were saying, the font. So this particular cell has been highlighted. I can decide to name that particular cell myself. So I'll just call it big. And if I do enter, that becomes it. So if I go and click on different cells, that will be there. But anytime I click on that one, you'll see that the cell name will be big. So I can actually do that for so many cells. For when you are working on, let's say, different data set and you want the answers to be coming somewhere. So I could actually say here, this place is the answer. So, and then I could have come here, then say that's the answer. I will name that cell answer. So anytime I come to click on that cell, whatever I see there becomes the answer. And that's how it is. I could actually, delete that. I could just delete that. And then when I do that, the cell comes back to, and then I'm just going to clear all the, yep. So I've deleted the cell, and then it is over there. So that's how that's the basic syntax about Excel for this particular point. Now, let's get straight to the most important things. If you know some of these basic things, like I've talked about the tabs, if you come here, the insert tab here, that's where we are going to do data visualization. You can actually insert a chart. You can insert different chart types. It could be a multiple graph. It could be a composite graph and whatsoever. You can insert your smart art. You can insert a shape. You can insert a picture. This is when you are dealing with, when you are now preparing maybe the document for like a report, it becomes easier. So you have the lines and for the columns and the slices. All of them, I'm going to be dealing with you. The last portion here is where I want the equations. There are instances, Excel also uses equation. You can actually write the whole equation out here. So if you want an equation to solve some problem, then you have some symbols here. If you want to insert some symbols, then you can actually have that. Now, in Excel, there are three ways of entering data. Or three type of data that you enter into the Excel. So first of all, if I come here, I can actually enter 1, 2, 3, or 4, something like that. That's one way. I can also enter a text. I can just enter a text and say, just put my name there. And then I can also enter a formula. A formula always begins with an equal sign. Take note. If it is a formula, it is a function whatsoever, it has to begin with an equal sign. So let's say I want to enter a formula like a formula of sum. So by the time you finish typing the formula, then it should come. And then when the formula comes, the syntax as to how to enter your data to get that particular formula work out will just be below there. So I'm using the function called sum. And the sum is saying that put the first value, then the second value, and then in that order. So let's say I'm going to sum, let's say 44, then I'll put comma, and put 88, I put comma, I'll put 77. When I've done that and I close, I do this, you should be able to sum everything. So when you're using sum, you don't have to necessarily bring class again. It's kind of like tautology. So that's how we enter data. You can enter it directly as numbers, you can enter as text, and you can enter it as functions. We get that. Now, the other thing I want to say is that Excel has different ways of highlighting. Or when if you're in Excel, for instance, if I want to highlight, let's say from B2 up to B11. So what I can do is I just enter the active cell where I want to highlight from, and then I click there and then hold and then drag it up to 11, and then that is highlighted. Now, after you have done that, when you bring your cursor to the bottom right corner, the cursor changes into a complete small plus. What that means is that you can actually repeat whatever that is in the highlighted, whatever that you have entered in the highlighted into other areas, depending on which side you want to use. So if I decide to drag like this, It means whatever that was on the first column, everything will be done on the same or what is on the other columns. For instance, if I have here, if I have other place 34, then if I want to, if I come out there, I have 34 here. So if I come here and I highlight down, nothing will be there, right? But if I come here and I bring my cursor to the bottom right corner and it changes to this small plus, if I drag it down, I'm saying that repeat whatever that is in the active cell in any other cell that it has been dragged across. So if I drag it down here, you will see 34 repeated. And that's what that means. Even if it is a function you have entered, the function will repeat itself like that. So that's one way of doing the highlighting or highlighting. So if I want to highlight, I'll do it like this. But if I want to continue the same entry, I'll drag it from the corner and it will repeat. The last way of doing highlighting in Excel is by bringing your cursor. After you have highlighted some figures, then when you bring your cursor again to any of the lines, whether the top, or the sideways, any of the lines, but not at the corner, any of the lines like this, the plus sign changes this arrow not to just the, but you see arrows at at either end. It tells you that you can lift the data and move in either direction. You can move right, left, top, down. That's why you see those arrows. That is ending the the plus sign. So if I should click and hold, I can drag the whole thing and then bring it to this place, and that comes there. All right. So I can take it back to wherever it was, and then it's going to be there. So that's another way of doing the highlighting. So I just said we have three ways of highlighting. The ordinary highlighting, where you just have a big plus, then you click and hold and drag down, or you bring it to the bottom and then repeat whatever that is written in the active cell from where you are starting the highlighting from, or you have these arrows that tells you that you can leave the data and move in any direction of the sheet, and then you put it there. The last thing I want to show you is that when you open Excel, you have is a book. So the book will have sheets. So this is sheet one. You can actually name the sheet. You simply just come to the sheet, right click on it, and say rename. So when you click on rename, you see that the sheet is highlighted. Type whatever name you want. So for me, I'm going to say tutorial one or tutorial one. When you finish, click enter, and that becomes it. So when you go to the next sheet, you can also name it. If I come to tutorial one, I have everything that I've done there. Now let's go to deleting. How do you delete your data that has been entered? Well, the easiest way is to come here, highlight everything, and then you click delete. So everything is going to go. What about if you don't want to do that way? You can actually come here in any of the cells and then click delete. Move to the next one and then go and tap on delete on your keyboard and it will be deleting. Now, another way of doing it is to click either the top or the down, depending on which side you want the data to, where the data is moving. If it is longitudinal data, you click on an empty cell above or down, mostly above, and then come to this particular small right hand side corner and then drag it down. When you do that, what it means is that I already explained that when you do that, you are saying that repeat whatever that is found in the active cell. When you have this small plus sign change, when you point to the top, to the bottom right corner. So if I should click there and drag down, I'm saying that repeat the empty cell across whatever that I am. So it's going to clean all the 34 and that's it. So that's another way of deleting. Now, having known the basics or some of these basics, now let's go to something. Now, Excel was designed purposely for data, for numbers. But there are instances we force text to also enter there, right? Like if you want to have column names, if you want to have row names, you want to have people, their names, and whatsoever. For instance, I could have like I just put my own name there. So I could have it also written here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to enter some what the data. I want to have like about 5 columns and then what is 5 columns and then 10 rows data, and then perform some simple mathematical operations on all of the things, and then you see how that works. Now, the first thing I want to do is I don't have time to be able to type all the numbers. So I'm going to use a random function in Excel and create all the random figures. And I'm going to use that to also teach other aspects. In Excel, you can import data, you can actually copy and paste data, but the copying and pasting uh, comes with different things. So I'm going to do this and then explain that. So let's say that I'm going to use this function. I've already said if you are entering function, you start with an equal sign. So I'm going to have run between. So I'm going to create some numbers. And you can see that the syntax is always bottom there. So I'm going to print some numbers from 10, and then the highest should be 90. So if I do that, I close and I enter, it will create a random number between 10 and 90. So if I come here and then this small plus sign changes, what it tells me that I can actually repeat the same formula to create random numbers in any other cell. So if I move either this way, it will create the same random numbers. If I come here and move down up to the 10th row, I say 10 rows, so of the 10 row, it will create random numbers for me. And that's it. So when the random numbers have been created, I can, but because I have used a function to create the random numbers, the numbers will keep changing. They will keep changing, they won't be static. So what is it? When you are performing mathematical operation, you keep on getting wrong, different answers whatsoever. Now to keep the numbers fixed, so like the way it is, before I explain the other thing, I already showed all of us how to highlight everything. So when we highlight, we can actually drag this to a place like this where all of us can see quite clearly. So here, but you see that now that I have pasted, the numbers have even changed already. So if I don't want the numbers to, I want to keep them fixed. What should I do? I will just copy them. So Control C, it will copy everything. So I can go back to any of these cells, click on any active cell, right click, and then you will come to paste. In Excel, there are about 6 different ways of pasting your data or your document. Now, the first way, the first one here, when you come to paste, when you paste it, it means you are pasting it like the way it was. You are pasting it from the original. The original means if you had used a function in creating it, when you paste, those functions will still be there. So, for instance, if I paste it here, you see that the functions will still be there. Let's say I have come here. If I come and click on any value here, the function that created it, you can see it in the on top here in the formula bar. So if I come and click on this, you will see it over there. Now, if I come and click on this, you will also see it over there. Just a minute. So if I come and I delete it, you will find that nothing will be there. So if I do like this, then everything comes back there. So so if I do enter, then you see that the numbers keep changing. So let me come and click on 89. You will see that that's the function that created it. Now let me come to this place and click and click on any of the numbers, and then you will see that the function that created that number is there. If let me come and click on this, the function is still there. It means that you have pasted the values from the original. So it will carry everything from the original to the new pasting. So what do we do? Let me take this out. You see that the numbers have already changed again. Now this time I'm going to paste a different way. And so no, I have to copy again. Okay. So I just highlight everything. Control C, that is being copied at the moment. So if I come here and I want to paste, I can actually paste as values. And when you paste as values, it means that you are not pasting it as the original, you are pasting it as ordinary value, so nothing can change. So you will see that around here, when I click on 55, or when I click on the first value, 88 here, you will see that the function that created it is on top there. But when I come to click on any of the values here, like 64, you only see the value 64. Nothing changes because it is fixed. That one is no more changing. That one is no more changing. You only see the value there. And that's one way of also pasting. So now I'm going to delete this out. So when you use a random function to create your values, what you normally do is that you shift it somewhere, copy it, and come and paste it as values. so that you can have fixed numbers, so that it will, the changes, the random changes will stop. Another way of pasting, now let me now work with the fixed numbers. And when you copy, you will see that this particular line will be going around, tell you that you have copied. So let's say I come here and I want to paste it. I have done the first two. So now you can paste it as formulas, you see, and then you can paste it as transpose. This is where my emphasis is. Transpose means when you copy them, you are going to transpose it from those that were columns become rows and rows become columns. So you notice that in the first place, I was having 10 rows and then 5 columns. Now, if I paste it transpose, how many columns do I now have? I have 10 columns and then 5 rows. So I have transposed the data. And that's what it means. So in R, we have to write a command to be able to do that. But in Excel, no. We just say paste transpose and you can just transpose it. And that's how it is. So let's say if I were going to, another way of like pasting is by formatting. So let's say I was having something here and then I want to paste format. So I could actually do that. I could paste it with links and stuff. So, but I think that the first three are what is important: the original, the values, and the transpose. Okay. Now, if you've gotten that, let me take this out. So now we have this. I've already shown you that you can actually shift the entire data by highlighting everything, go to any of them, and then you just shift it the way you want. Now, let's say that I have the headers are already there. So I'm not going to belabor the point. So I'm just going to shift it like this. So, and that's all. So the first value here, the address is B1. So you can see the address is at the back there. So B1 is equal to 64. If I click here, that's D6. If I click here, that's F4. So now if I want to add any of the numbers here, I can just say equal to, and then if you know the cell address, you just type it there. I'll equal to D6, D6, and then I'll just put there plus C4. When I do that, I do enter, it's going to add them, and that'll be 99. Now, in Excel, if you are referencing a cell, you use capital letters. It's always capital. When you use small letters, no, it's not accepted. If I do equal to, and I say D6 plus C4, let me see if that will work. Okay, then it works. It means I can use any of them. I can use, but best practices, like they always say, if you are using Linux or if you are using Python, sometimes you run a code, it runs, but they'll tell you that what the intelligent people, or let me say, the best practices require that you should do it this way. So, like for instance, the best practice say that leave 2 lines when you are writing between commands, then and all those things. All right. So I was saying the best practice is to go with the capital letters. But what it means is that we cannot do any operation here by just referencing, by giving the address. So I can come here and actually calculate the averages. So for instance, let's say I want, I can say equal to, let's say the average. So the average has already come. Then you have to give a range. So I can come here and come do this. And when I finished, I just close the bracket. So it tells me that the average of all the numbers here is simply 34. So when I come here and I decide to drag up, this way, it's going to calculate the rest of the columns which are there. So if I come and then I do this, I have how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I drag up to 5 different columns, this is the 4th one like this, it should calculate all the averages. And that's how it is. So now I can lift these averages like this and come and put them at the bottom here. And that's it. It will be the same thing. So wherever you are, you can actually do your calculations. And then as long as you know where to find your cell, as long as you know what to do, it's very easy. Now, let me show you another basic things about Excel. So once you know the cell, your cell addresses, you can do whatever. You can actually do, you can add, you can autofill, and you can do whatsoever. Now, We have flash fill and we have auto fill. I'm not going to jump to that. So as in Excel, you can actually do multiplication, you can do addition, you can do subtraction, you can do whatever. Now, let's say that the first one here, we want to do subtraction. So I'm going to highlight all of this, and then I'm going to shift it a little bit so on top here, I'm going to do what we call subtraction. So if I come here, I could actually say equal to this, then you bring your minus this, and then perhaps, and then that may be all. Then when I enter, it give me my whatever. So if I were having addition here, add, I could actually come here. You only have to start with your equal sign, come and click wherever you want, and then bring the operational sign, the mathematical operational sign plus, then click this one. And of course, I'm sure you can add as much as possible. Then you do this one. And of course, when I do that and finished, if I click, then that's going to give me the entire answer. Now, if I come here and I do like this, what I'm simply saying is that we are subtracting column C from column B. If I come here the same way and I run this through, I just like this. So it means I am adding column D, column E, column F up to this particular point. Now let's say that we want percentage. So that place is going to be percentage. When I come here, I'm going to say equal percentage of let's say this, or I could just okay, just a little, what is it? A little brief. So I want to calculate the percentages of maybe any of the, what is it, the figures here. So if I click on, what is it? Here, let's say I want the percentage. So if you go and click on that particular value and you go and tap on percentage sign on top there, it should tell you the percentage. But I think that it's not too mathematical. So what we can do, percentage simply means that you are doubling all the numbers or you are adding 100% to all the numbers. And that's what that means. But naturally, percentage is you are given a value divided by this times this, and then you are able to do that. So if I actually wanted the percentages of all of this, so I should have the total here, and then I can now get the percentage of this. So what do I do? I could actually write a simple function like this and say equal to, all right, and then the equal to, I'm going to sum everything. So I'm going to sum from here. And then when I do that, I close it. That's the first one. It will give me the sum. So when you sum everything, that should give me, okay, now let me come here. Oh, that has already given me the answer. Let me rewrite it. I can actually say equal to particular cell. Then I say divide, and you do divided by. Then I say sum. Then if I do the sum, then I'm now going to give the range here, and then I close it, and then I simply multiply it by 100. When I do that, it should be able, it gives me what? 17%. So 17 point this. So I can do that and then run through, and it's going to calculate the percentages of all the figures here. And that's how it is. If I want, I can drag it across this way, and that's going to calculate the percentages of all the figures like this. And then it has calculated all of them. That's the percentages of all of them. So these are the basic things that you can do. You can add, you can subtract, you can divide, you can do whatever. You can calculate your percentage depending on how you are able to send in your your formulas. These are the basics of Excel. Very, very basics of Excel. I could actually delete this. Now, there's always this thing they call the 5-point summary. where you can actually do the mean, the median. You can do that. In Excel, you have things like the mean, is the same as the average. You can have the median. The median is already there. So you just give the range of the numbers you want to have the median. So if I close it here and hit enter, so the median number is actually 39. So if I do that across, it will calculate the mean for all of them. And then if I do it this way too, it will calculate every column. And then that is it. If I extend further, there's nothing. It will be now. That's what what is it? That's what it will. So it is, I'm just going to drag it backwards. So that's how we are able to do all the calculations at once and then auto rotate. Now let me delete that. We also come here and then just delete everything here. I can come here and delete the whole thing here. Now there are instances. I always say that if you want to understand how machine learning works or how programming works, for instance, if these were marks, let's say that these were marks of students, and you actually want to know who are those who got highest, who are those who got lowest. Now that's where the conditional formatting comes in. So if I come here and then I come this way, I can actually come to the conditional formatting and say that I want the top 10 items. You see that in the top 10 items, what is it? It will simply come and then show me, okay, the top 10, what is it? All of them are on top there. I can, when you come, this particular small dialog box will come telling you what that you can actually change the colors, but you can actually say, okay, I want the top 9. So I want the top 7, the top 5, the top, and then the top 3. So that gives you the top 3. Of all the classrooms, the top 3 are 90, 82, and 82. And that's it. That's the conditional formatting. Another way of doing the conditional formatting, when you have highlighted everything, you come to the format table, and then I'm just going to choose any of the tables, and then I'm going to say my table has headers. No, it has no headers. So I'm going to click OK. So now I have changed everything into tables. Now I can come here and then I can simply now come and select that. Okay, I just want only those who are having 11, those who are no, what the 4. So if I uncheck any of this, then I can come here. I can come to any of them. So I want the 28. So it's going to pick only the 28, and then that is it. So those ones we call them condition. What is it? Formatting as a table. And then I'm going to go back to where I was. So that's how it is. So another way is like, now that I have this, if I highlight all of them, I can introduce decimal numbers into it. All right. So you want to have 2 decimal places, you click again, and you want to have 2 decimal places. Now, what this means is that if you had your data, if you had created your data and there are a lot of decimal numbers, you can actually reduce the decimal numbers to whole numbers. Let me do just one example and you see. There's this function called run. Okay, I just have to start with equal sign. So I'm going to say run, and then I'm going